Founders are chasing unicorn resumes, overpaying for hype, and then act shocked when their so-called A players crash and burn in under 90 days. In this video, I'm going to break down why the current A player culture is failing, the myths and tricks that founders use to consistently hire the wrong people, and the system that we're using at Remote Latinos to hire over 2,000 people for 1,000 different companies, many of these people from over 40 different countries, and how you can do the same for your business. Stick around to the end, because I'm gonna show you the 3 signals that these C player candidates use to pretend to be A players. This is a game changer. Now, let's dive in. So let's start with the myths of what is an A player. Many founders think an A player is determined by someone's resume or their video introduction or the fact they graduated from an Ivy League school. But here's the reality. An A player has some of those traits that I just discussed, but an A player possesses much more. In reality, an A player is someone who consistently gets results, adapts under pressure, and makes their team and manager's life much easier. However, the myth of an A player leads to 2 outcomes. 1 is hiring pedigree over performance, and 2, assuming this A player is going to come in and fix your company, when in reality, there's processes and systems and so many wrongdoings that even a true A player cannot come in and fix that, let alone a mythological A player. So now, the reason A player culture fails, or I should say the myth of an A player culture fails, is because founders are hiring reactively rather proactively. They're hiring from a place of need, and by need, I mean a need right now, or the entire company is not gonna be around, or an entire department is gonna suffer. So they're consistently hiring from a reactive point of view rather than a proactive point of view. They're only interviewing 1 or 2 people that are not even that good, rather interviewing 3, 4, 5 true A players. But in order to get those A players, they had to go through 20, 30, or maybe even 40 candidates that went through the process, applied properly, did skill tests, did a personality test. Again, they're interviewing from a very small pool, most likely a pool of people that are not even qualified, and then they're hiring on the spot. And because of this, they're skipping a lot of the vetting process that it takes in order to identify an A player, right? They're not doing the skill test properly. They don't have any personality tests. They're only having one 20 to 30 minute interview. They don't have someone else on their team review this application. So many steps are missing, and then you interview this person for 20 or 30 minutes. You don't even feel really good about them, but because your company is at such a desperate place, you hire the wrong person. And here's what happens. While there is a chance that things can be improved, you're really putting a band-aid on a wound, and that is an absolute no-no, okay? Now, that is the best case scenario. The more likely case scenario is now whatever wound was created, maybe it was with your marketing funnel, maybe it's a sales issue, maybe it's a system issue. Well, now the wound has gone deeper and deeper because now you're spending time with the wrong person that's probably not gonna be here for the long run. They don't know what they're doing because they have little to no experience doing this. Now you're hoping and praying that this B, most likely C player, is going to fix a problem that you either don't have the time for or don't have the experience or knowledge for. That is a ginormous red flag. And believe it or not, so many founders go through this on a regular basis. They're hiring B- or C players because they're being so reactive instead of going through the proper way of finding a team member. I'm gonna give you guys an analogy that hopefully will click. I hope that if you're watching this and you have a significant other in your life, whether it's a husband or a wife, that you guys did not get married within 1 or 2 weeks of knowing each other. Now, sometimes you meet someone and you have a really good feeling about them, and maybe instead of taking years, it takes a few months. Sure, and we all know that's still a little bit rushed, right? But most likely, from my experience and from seeing other people, they get married after 2-3 years of dating someone, living together, introducing them to their family, friends, going all over the world, going through the ups and downs of relationship, and really honing and getting to know this person. Now, while I'm not telling you to do the same thing in your company to take 2 or 3 years to hire someone, I am telling you that the same way you bring people into your life, whether it's your significant other or a friend and someone into your circle, you need to do a similar process with candidates, because these are people that are gonna be part of your family. You're gonna be spending time more with a lot of your team members than you do with your significant other, definitely with your friends, and definitely with your acquaintances. So why would you not pick the right person? That's crazy. You're gonna be spending at times 8 to 12 hours per day with this person. You're paying this person. You're giving them your time and energy that can never be brought back. It's super crucial to bring in the right people in the beginning by not hiring reactively, by hiring proactively, and by understanding the myth of what an A player is, which is the perception of an A player, someone that has a degree and has a nice resume and looks good on their video, versus doing the entire vetting process, which is skill testing and personality testing, and having them answer a ton of different questions just to apply, and having multiple sets of interviews, having interviews with different people, right? Creating another test based on that interview. And then when you onboard them, giving them a 30 to 60 up to a 90-day trial period to really see how things are going. That is how you properly hire and onboard someone, because otherwise you're gonna consistently run into an issue of hiring these B and C players. And B, I'm being very candid when I'm saying this, most likely these are C players because you also had a pool of only C players. You didn't have the option of hiring an A player, and now you're forced to be stuck with this person. That is what you want to avoid at all costs. Now let's dive into the 3 fake signals that I mentioned in the beginning of the video that you need to monitor on a regular basis. The first one is the polished talker. This person is smooth. They speak perfect English. Even more so if you're hiring offshore, whether it's Mexico, Colombia, or the Philippines. The polished talker is someone that talks very smooth. They have what we call game. However, their track record, their resume, their experience, and their skill did not match that, right? You're already questioning whether you want to do an interview with them, but you're like, I'm going to give them a chance. And then you got on the interview and you are almost flabbergasted of how good they sound, because their skill test and their resume does not match that, right? It looks like they were bouncing from job to job to job. Maybe they didn't stick around long enough in the industry or the niche that you're in. So be very careful with a polished talker, and don't let someone smooth the way of talking sell you into just hiring them, right? Be cognizant and create testings around the actual job that they're going to do in order to avoid a polished talker to take advantage of you and your company. Number 2, it's the perfect resume. What do I actually mean by that? I mean, this is someone that has worked maybe 1 or 2 jobs for multiple, let's just say 5+ years. They have moved up, and for some reason, it seems too good to be true. For some reason, they weren't able to figure it out with their company. Right? Now, I'm not saying I want people that bounce from job to job to job. No, I actually like people that stick around. But when I look at someone and maybe they're in their late 30s, maybe in the early 40s, maybe even the late 20s, and they've only worked 1 or 2 jobs, and consistently they've gotten better and better and better, and they for some reason are leaving because they're bored or because they weren't able to figure it out, that's a red flag. Now, is that a massive red flag where I don't hire someone? No. What I do immediately is I dive into this. Why can you not figure this out with your company? Is it a money situation? Is it an opportunity situation? Is it a career path? Tell me more, because I'm looking at your resume and it's literally too perfect. But when it's a little bit too perfect, just dive into it. And then whatever they respond to you, it better make sense. And what usually they need to respond, where it should make sense, is that they feel stuck at this company. They want to get paid more. They have had the conversations with the boss. They've had conversations with the manager. This company has just trapped them in their current role, in their current position, and they're not able to grow there. If that's the case, then you better do some due diligence and reach out to this company and see where this person's at. Now, of course, maybe they're in between jobs. That is possible. But if they're still working there, don't do that, because obviously maybe this person then gets fired and you don't hire them. Now they're in a very bad situation. It really depends if they're still there. If they're still there, I will not reach out to the boss or their manager. But if they're not there anymore and they haven't worked there anymore, if they haven't worked there for a few months, that's a different situation. Now, another thing to keep in mind here is if someone has massive gaps between jobs. So for example, let's say someone got let go in June and they don't have anything on the resume until then. Maybe they've done some freelancing here and there. But now I'm thinking, I'm like, man, you went a whole 6 months almost without a job. Now, again, you had ways of making money, but that means that you were able to survive this long. Why would you not keep doing this, right? So if they have massive gaps between jobs, just dive into this, right? You better have the resume pulled up. And one of the things that I love to do is I put the resume into ChatGPT and actually have ChatGPT rate the resume based on my job description, right? So I submit my job description first, rate this resume based on the job description. What are things that I should be looking out for? What are things that are red flags in your opinion? And what are questions that I should ask this candidate based on the resume? That gives me a lot of clearance, because when I interview someone, I'm then a lot more prepared. And the last fake signal that you need to be on the lookout for, this is very easy to fall to all the time, it's the yes man. Oof, the yes man is very dangerous because, of course, as founders, as CEO, we like to hear when someone says, yes, I'll figure it out. Yes, yes, yes. We don't like to hear no, right? Obviously. So when someone says yes on everything, that's a red flag, right? And I question that. And I also call it out. Now, if you don't call it out, you better start calling it out, or you better start noticing that this person is a yes man. You don't want yes men on your company. Yes, you want people that will do the job. Yes, you want people that will tell you yes at times, duh. But if someone is a yes man and they say yes to everything, guess what's gonna happen? Well, one, they're probably gonna try to do everything and things are not gonna get done. Or two, if they do get done, they get done on an average, at best, performance. So that's not good. I want things to be done on a great level. I want things to be done when I rate it, I give it a freaking A. And in order to do that, they're gonna have to say no to certain projects. They're gonna have to say, hey, I actually am not capable of doing this, or I don't have the time to do this. If you keep asking them things and they say yes, 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 and you don't call it out, and then you hire them and then things don't work out, that is your fault. Where they keep saying yes, 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 yes to everything. Can you do this? Can you do that? Can you do this? Can you do that? They say yes to everything. Now you dive into this. How are they gonna do that? What if they don't have the time to do that? What if things don't get done? How do they approach that? What is their way of dealing with stress, or dealing with things under pressure, or dealing with things when they have a timeline? Keep in mind, guys, something that I wanted to mention earlier is going through this process takes a lot of time. So if you wanna find the right people, you wanna hire a company like Remote Latinos, where we present you 3 to 5 A-player candidates, so that way you can hop on interviews immediately and find the best and most talented person that can come into your company and make a difference from day one. Stop trying to do this on your own. Maybe it's time to invest into a way to do this the right way, so that way you can finally get back your time, scale properly, and this is gonna sound cliche, but live your dream life. You did not start this company to work another job. You started this company to live a good life, take care of the people that you love, and just overall be a real business owner. So head over to remotelatinos.com. Let's help you find that A player. Now, before we finish the video, I wanna talk about one last thing. And this thing is called what actually works. What actually works, guys, is to remember, true A players are built through systems, not slogans. True A players come into a company that already has their P's and Q's together and build on top of it and make it better and continuously help the company grow and scale, rather than try to rebuild everything from scratch. Keep that in mind, because a true A player wants the best opportunity and the best way for them to get paid what they're worth. A company that doesn't have their P's and Q's together, doesn't make a lot of money, is not profitable, is not going to attract a true, once again, a true A player. So this means your systems, whether it's on your front end, on your back end, your processes, right? How you generate leads, how leads go through your entire process of booking an appointment, how leads get the fulfillment of whatever they paid for. If once they pay, what's your sales process like? What is your marketing process like? What are your operations like? These are things you wanna have a perspective on from top to bottom, so that way you can attract A players. So there's 2 things here that are at play. One, A players are attracted based on the company that you currently have. And 2, A players are retained by the processes and systems that you have. This is very important, because an A player that comes into a shitty company that doesn't have anything together is not gonna magically fix anything. Yes, can they help? Absolutely. But will they help? Do they have the motivation and inspiration to help? Wouldn't it make more sense for them to go to a company that probably will pay them more and has more of their P's and Q's together? Yes. So that's something to remember. Please, if you're looking to hire immediately, then look into your company, go through the process yourself as if you are a lead, whether it's on the front end, whether it's on the back end, clean up everything, create a very descriptive job ad, and be able to understand what it's like to actually be an A player. In order to attract an A player, you must be an A player. In order to attract high-level leaders, you must be a high-level leader. Now, I made a video talking about how to hire A player setters. So it's gonna be linked right here. Please go ahead and click on that so you can learn how to hire A player setters. Thank you so much for watching the video. Like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you in the next one. Os.